Let's talk about the FIFA Club World Cup because, gentlemen, like it or not, it is coming to these shores in the summer of 2025. Here's the latest, I guess we'll call it scandal around this tournament. Two of the Mexican teams that are going to be involved, Pachuca and León, are seeing their participation jeopardized. Why? Because they share the same ownership group. That's right, Grupo Pachuca, as it's known. Apparently, this is against FIFA rules, according to ESPN's reporting. Both Pachuca and León, the clubs, are willing to go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to defend their spots in this tournament. Herc, what do you make of it?
Well, listen, all the buzz right now down south in Mexico is that the multipropiedad, the dual ownership, if you will, of these two teams is jeopardizing one spot. Which one will it be at this FIFA Club World Cup? Who knows? And I don't need to tell you this, it always comes back to your America. They're campaigning for America, who is bicampeón, who is back-to-back champion in Liga MX, to somehow get this spot. If one of these two teams can't make it to the Club World Cup because it's against FIFA's regulations. By the way, Gianni Infantino and FIFA gave them a welcoming, a very warm welcome when they both won their respective rights to this tournament. So who knows what's going to happen there. They're not the only ones who are dual ownership groups. Al Ahly and Al Hilal, Qatar team and a Saudi Arabia team, have the same ownership. They're in the same predicament as well. I don't think anything's going to happen. I'm sure the language, if they think they could win it and take an arbitration, will be in their favor. Speaking to producer Beto, who had a background in law, he was telling me this rule was put in place October, so just a month ago. But if it doesn't, the question is, what proceeds? Who takes it? Will it be, because it's not Mexico's place to give, it's CONCACAF's to FIFA. And in CONCACAF, in the rankings right now, well, that's the Columbus Crew. And who's the team who lost to Pachuca in the final of the CONCACAF Champions League? That would be the Columbus Crew.
All right, so a case for the Crew. Maybe a happy ending to the Columbus Crew season after that disappointment in the playoff. Hey, Shaq, a big picture on this FIFA Club World Cup. We've got, this situation brewing right now. We just found out about a week ago, that FIFA is not going to force the club teams to let the players go for international duty, so you can basically kiss goodbye to the 2025 Gold Cup. We also just found out that the teams are going to have to travel here 5 days before the tournament, which is about a day after World Cup qualifying ends next summer. So there's going to be basically no break for these players. Is this tournament a good idea, Shaka?
No. I said that from its inception. At some point, listen, and I get the argument that more games means more money for the players as well. But at some point, you've got to hit the ceiling. At some point, it becomes just physically impossible for players to continue, certainly at this pace. Paying them more doesn't make it any less taxing on them physically. So for me, I feel that FIFA continues to try to shoehorn more and more tournaments into an already congested calendar without any kind of respite. No, whether that means domestically clubs, or leagues have to reduce the numbers of their domestic leagues to 18 or 16 or whatever you decide, fine. But at some point, common sense has to prevail and just say, we've gotten to the point of too much football for these players. Unless, of course, you're just saying, and you're just allowing teams to have 30 and 40-man rosters and send alternate teams to some of these international tournaments.
Yeah, I mean,
Shaka, I would say Shaka mentioned, too many games, too much for these players. I would argue it's too much for fans. I think there's a reason that FIFA hasn't sold the broadcasting rights. I think fans are disinterested. I've played in the Club World Cup when it was, I believe, 7 or 8 teams back in 2010. That's what it was. It was a winner from the Confederation and a host team from that country. And it had very little interest. And they thought bringing it to the U.S., because that's where you bring everything you want to sell, would do wonders. And maybe they'll do well a game or two here and there if it's Real Madrid playing against whoever in the summer, the same way the old ICC or these summer tournaments in the States can draw well. But we know how this works. The interest is when the television networks, somebody will pay you for it, and nobody's coughing up that money right now. I think there's a serious disinterest from not only the networks, but from fans right now. I think fans are disinterested with so many competitions and so many games.
I just think it's so rich for FIFA, who makes its money off the international game, to literally turn its back on the international game now to try and make a penny off the club game. Just ridiculous.